I think those are just a few things that I think, are driving this toxicity in Christianity today. Like this really, toxic form of belief that I think in a lot of senses is causing people who aren't saved to be repelled from Christianity. I think that they look at that and they say, I don't want to be a part of that. If that's what it means to be a Christian,
right.
then that's if that's a representation of the God you serve, then that's not the God that I want to serve.
Right.
And then on the other side, I think it's causing some Christians to say, listen, I'm done with this. Thank you for tuning into the Church Dropout podcast. My name is Alan. I'm joined by
Lisa.
Church Dropout is a podcast. We talk about issues, topics, and teachings related to faith, life, and culture in ways that are sometimes funny, sometimes serious, but always insightful. If you have not already, please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast at. So, I don't know, maybe we could start with a little bit of icebreaker before we get into this.
Okay.
So, the Olympics, over with. What'd you think?
I think it was really good. Honestly, the ones that I like to watch the most are gymnastics, the track. Love the track. And I thought I would check out the hip hop. I mean, not the hip hop, but the breaking. But yeah, that I was very, what is it when you're I was underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Very underwhelmed.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
No, not at all. Maybe it's just because this is the first year. Maybe LA 2028 will be bomb. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm hoping if they keep it. But I was definitely pleased with gymnastics and track. So
yeah. So what'd you think about Australia doing the breakdancing?
You really should comment on this because you had a good.
What?
Alan, when you were like, this is like hip hop.
That was a video, though.
I know, but you said that was kind of how she was dancing.
I mean, it could have been her on the video. I don't know what she was doing.
I don't know either. Like
the bunny,
honestly,
the bunny hopping.
I don't know how they weren't like disqualified, like in the middle of her performance. It should have just been like, ding.
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. No.
I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
she was trying.
No.
Yeah, there's a couple moves in there where it's like, okay, well, that's a little, But.
I felt it, looking at that, it looked like she was making fun of breakdancing. Like, breakdancing is this easy. Anybody can do it, and I can do it. That's what I was feeling. That's the vibe that I got, was anybody can do this, and I'm going to show you.
Well, yeah, it was problematic.
Yes.
And they definitely need to do better.
Yes.
Next go round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even see, and I hardly ever, if I could be honest with you, I kind of get burnt out at some point. I don't even know what the final count was, gold or anything like that.
As far as how many?
I think USA had the most golds, but at the end they give you the count.
Yeah.
But I didn't even stay that long.
I didn't watch the ending at all. Usually, we're like pumped for the beginning, and we didn't even get to see the whole beginning of this one. No. But I was pumped to watch the whole thing, but not you. But then the ending, I never, because it goes so long. You're just like, I just want to get straight to the ones that I want to watch, and that's it. Thankfully, when you watch it on streaming, you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can pick and choose which sport you want to actually watch. So
yeah, absolutely. That was helpful.
That made it very helpful.
Yeah, that was helpful. Yeah. So yeah, in LA, 4 more years, right?
Yeah.
Every 4, right?
Every 4 years.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe if they have qualifications, Crazy Legs will. We'll get in this year. Because if I was in the breakdancing competition,
I will say you would do better than Australia.
Listen, I would have took gold.
Okay, that I don't know, but you would have done better than Australia.
I'm gonna have to get my legs back in shape. So crazy legs. Well, that was it. My top body wouldn't move. Just my legs would just be going. They'd be flipping. I'd just be standing there looking.
Oh my goodness.
So transitioning. I feel like as I always start. And I think this is the sentiment of a lot of people, especially those I've been having conversations with. You and others. And, there just seems to be this element of toxicity in Christianity today. It just seems like there's elements of Christianity that's just toxic. When you, and again, it could be certain compartments, certain movements, and different things of that sort. But, if you look at Christianity kind of on the global scale, it just feels like it's being misrepresented by these toxic ideas that are permeating the Christian faith. That I feel in a lot of senses, one, I just, in all honesty, I'm not even sure it's Christian. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I was reading a comment on X where, a guy had he just made a comment on people in general and how he felt towards a certain group of people. And a Christian guy got underneath that and he was like, man, that's not indicative of the gospel. And my comment underneath that was, it's not the gospel.
Right.
I feel like to some degree, I feel like the things that we're trying to reform are not even things that are related to the gospel itself.
Yeah.
It's not Christianity. And I do feel like there's just this toxic portion of Christianity that's out there. A lot of this we see on social media. Social media, as much, I guess, good as there is with social media, there's also this negative aspect to it, where Christianity is being understood in sound bites and being understood in, sentences, you know what I mean? And, so online, the presence of Christianity just seems like it's getting more toxic in communities, in certain faith communities, denominations, and or theological camps. It just seems like it's just becoming more toxic. You look at, which is a part of social media, you look at YouTube and these different places, it's just constant call out culture, bickering, infighting. It's just toxic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like man, as in us, we are sinful. And I feel like the toxicity has always been there. We just see it more. We you know what I mean? We have access to see it more and to hear it more and to feel it more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Than yonder years. Is that how you say?
Girl, yonder years. How old are you? Goodness gracious,
that
girl.
was the only word that came in my thought right now.
You ain't even from the South. Yonder years.
And is that going back or is that going forward? Yonder.
I think it's just over there because I'm thinking of the song, I'm going up a yonder. We was up there singing that. I'm going up a yonder to be with my Lord. Where is he?
Right.
Where's yonder?
Yeah, well, that
is yonder in California?
They still do that song at funerals.
Lisa, that's true. That is a funeral song.
Yes, that's usually like when you go see the loved one. In I try to keep it, but when
you view the body.
Yes.
What is that? The procession, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Then that's when they really get into that song. So
going up beyond.
Anyways,
yeah.
Ooh,
so,
yeah.
I don't know how they are, but I think what, to piggyback on what you're saying, I think part of this. I think part of the toxicity we're seeing in Christianity too is because, we're sinful in terms of, man's, disposition towards God and different things of that sort. I think we're also prone to that and attracted to that to a large degree, right?
Yes,
I think that's a whole nother conversation. But I think the popularity of these things is because we have these itching ears for controversy and different things of that sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And truthfully, I think part of the toxicity that we're experiencing, and I'll get into some of the things that I think are a part of this toxic form of Christianity, I think it's convenient too. Like, I just think when we try to live out, or when we attempt to live out the Christian faith as described in Scripture by love, truth, those are hard things to accomplish and do. And I think it's much easier to, to make in and out, have who's in, who's out, and different things of that sort. I think it's much easier to live that way. But it creates a toxic environment. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're putting your belief statement on the door. You're telling people what you stand for or what you stand against rather than what you stand for. I think that it's easier too, right? It's Billboard Christianity versus Christianity that's relational and engaging in the world. But yeah, I just feel like there's this form. I don't even know if that made sense because in my mind it didn't. But anyway. I just feel like, there's a real toxicity to Christianity and a real hatefulness to Christianity today, not just to those who are outsiders, but also to those who are insiders. The conversation is getting more toxic and sharper as we go. You know what I mean? And anyway, I just want to talk about some of the things that I'm referring to when I'm talking about what I'm seeing out there as far as like toxic, Christianity, and what is it? So one thing is this hate first, love second attitude. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, again, Christians just seem to focus on what we don't like versus, loving people. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's coming off hateful. It's not coming off as a disagreement about lifestyle. It's not coming off as a disagreement about theological positions. It's coming off very hateful. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you're not only are you not a Christian, you know what I mean? But you're not even worthy of dignity as a person. Because of whatever it is. So it's this hate first, love second mentality. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? And again, I think it's drawing further opposition between not only Christians, but then also how we evangelize and how we treat the world. Right. Because we have differences, because there is a difference in how we see the world and how we understand the world to work and how we understand life and lifestyles and all that stuff to work doesn't mean that we should hate folks. It doesn't mean that we don't treat people a certain way. Right. We love them. Right. You know what I mean? And we engage them out of that love. Yeah. Doesn't mean that all the conversations are going to be easy and nice and stuff like that. But you can have a conversation, a tough conversation with people when you know that there's a relationship there. Yeah. Versus just this hate-filled speech. Yeah. Right. That continues to get, pushed, in Christianity today. Yeah. The second thing is like focusing on what we believe rather than how we behave. I feel like, the toxicity in Christianity today has a lot to do with, again, us having this billboard Christianity where we're putting everything that we stand against on a billboard rather than focusing on what we behave. Right. I need you to know what I believe, and so we're focusing on that rather than focusing on how we behave. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And so all it's doing is creating more polarization and creating more points of dissension rather than giving us opportunities to really engage, not only the world, but one another. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when we focus on what we believe rather than how we behave, again, it also, puts on display the hypocrisy of, we believe, this to be true about God. He's triune, loving by nature, all of this type stuff, very important, right? But that triune love or that, that eternal love that God has had within himself for eternity doesn't even show in how we love one another. Right. But we understand it to be true. Right. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So focusing on what we believe rather than how we behave. Building fences and borders rather than bridges. Again, kind of piggybacking on the last one, right? Just again, we're erecting these fences and borders to keep us in and to keep the world out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rather than these bridges.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, in the church, you know, unity seems elusive. It seems like it's elusive, and it doesn't seem like we're getting any closer to unity. And I think that's because the fences and the borders are growing. Right?
Yeah.
You know, we're pointing out the more we disagree on, so we can never be unified in the things that we do agree on. Right? We're always adding to that.
Yeah.
You know, and then outside, you know, of the church, again, I think the world understands what we are against, but we're never giving them what we're for. You understand what I'm saying? So somebody can go to your website, and again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying a person could go to your website and understand what really your church is against. You know what I mean? Like, you know, hey, like I know you're saying as statements that you're what you're for, right? They can go there, they can see that your statement on marriage, your statement on, you know what I mean, the Bible, your statement on, you know, sin in the world. Truthfully, it only attracts Christians who believe in that.
Right. Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Like again, it's just a fence to keep yours in.
Yeah.
And to keep those others out.
Yeah.
You know, and so this toxicity, and again, I'm not saying that we don't need any of this. I'm just saying that the extremism that's happening now in the world today, I think is causing Christianity to be toxic for many.
Yeah.
See differences as a threat and not as a blessing. You know, I think modern Christianity today sees differences, you know, as a threat instead of as blessings.
Yeah.
Whether that's racial differences, whether that's theological differences, interpretive differences, expressive differences.
Yeah.
We see them as a threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And opposed to as an opportunity, right? You know, we don't engage people that are different than us. You know, we definitely push others away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so those are opportunities for us to demonstrate the gospel, for us to demonstrate the love of God, for us to highlight the beauty of the kingdom.
Right.
That God calls all people from different walks of faith, from different backgrounds, from different places within the world. He calls all people to faith and to become one, right? Where we become a single community that's not uniform, but unified.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
And so that's a blessing. But instead what we have is we have the church today worshiping these differences and seeing our differences as enemies, and opposed to seeing them as opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, it's just focusing, you know, on the wrong stuff. And then lastly, I'll say this, and I think this is one of the primary issues that I see today, is that I feel like with Christianity today, we're fighting the battle on the wrong ground. And you know, the scripture tells us that the war that we fight as Christians is against spirits and principalities. We're not warring against flesh and blood. And I feel like as Christians today, especially this toxic form of Christianity that's happening, is very much related to the world we're living in. It's very present in this world.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's physical. You know what I mean? Like it's people. Even when we talk about the variation and differences in lifestyles and how people live and all of this type stuff, we fail to see that there are other things that are influencing the things that happen within this world.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're steady engaging the physical and not engaging the spiritual.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're forgetting that the war, that you're not my enemy, right? Or that person is not my enemy, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think, again, because we have become very earthly in our understanding, that we're not otherworldly in terms of our understanding of our citizenship and where our citizenship lies.
Yeah.
That we've become just really physical, and we've become, really ingrained in how this world works, and we've made people our enemy. But the scripture's clear, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so,
yeah.
If we can understand that, then I think that can alleviate some of the things that we're experiencing with one another.
Yeah.
And it could change how we do battle, right? It frees us to be able to love people, but at the same time, wage war in another realm, in order to bring about peace and goodness, right? And that's not absent of the gospel, right? That's in line with the gospel, right? It's tearing down strongholds that have been built up over time, not only in people's lives, but in places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I think those are just a few things that I think, are driving this toxicity in Christianity today, like this really, toxic form of belief that I think in a lot of senses is causing people who aren't saved to be repelled from Christianity. I think that they look at that and they say, I don't want to be a part of that. If that's what it means to be a Christian,
right.
then that's if that's a representation of the God you serve, then that's not the God that I want to serve.
Right.
And then on the other side, I think it's causing some Christians to say, listen, I'm done with this. Now, again, let's make a distinction here. There may be Christians who are done with Christianity, I get that. But I think there's a large contingency of people who are walking away from the church in search of Jesus. So you have some people who are just saying, I'm done with this form of Christianity.
Right.
And I want to pursue what Christianity really is. You know what I mean? Which is where I am, which is where a lot of us are today.
Yeah.
Which is like, no, we're not letting go of Jesus. We're just letting go of this here.
Yeah.
This, what we've called Christianity, that's not necessarily Christianity.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just, have kind of observed some things. And again,
And as you're talking, this might be me opening up a can of worms, but this is what some of my issues are with apologetics. You know what I mean? As far as like defending the faith, that's one thing. But when you're taking it to now, it's causing infighting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's just the focus. You know what I mean? Instead of, showing the love and the what we should be doing as Christians and defending that instead of, defending how, different you are from me.
Yes.
And why you're wrong and I'm right.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's right in line with it. And I think there are a lot of people who are sincere. We both agree to this. There's a lot of people who are sincere about that, right?
Yeah,
about apologetics.
Yes.
But I think the misunderstanding and the misuse of what that is, right? And even how we base it on scripture. Oh, well, Peter says that you need to give an answer. Like, yeah, but is this what he's talking about?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think you're absolutely right. And I've said this for years. People are more than their beliefs. And again, and this is a whole nother podcast, but I agree with you, and we should talk about this. Just, I think where apologetics falls short in what you're explaining, I think, is that it reduces people to a set of beliefs, and we stop seeing the people, and we start interacting with their beliefs, and we miss the point.
Yeah.
The fact that you and I have the same beliefs doesn't mean we arrived at those beliefs the same way. Right. And so, I think when we just engage ideas and don't engage people, then that becomes the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yes, that's a great point, and we should talk about that. I think apologetics in today's culture needs to shift. You know what I mean? Like, I think it needs to shift, I think now it's more, I think we're in a place where people aren't questioning holistically. I don't think people are questioning God's goodness. I think I don't think people are questioning God's existence. I think people are questioning God's goodness. They're saying God can exist. And the reason why he can exist is because if he does exist, and what's happening, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Then he's not good.
Right. Yeah.
And by nature, God is supposed to be good. So you see what I'm saying? So, so I think, people are rejecting God on a different standard, not just on a set of facts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're rejecting God based upon character.
Yeah.
What his character is.
Yeah.
And here's where Christians go wrong. We control that to a large degree. Or I guess, let me not say we don't control that. We give life to the idea in terms of what are they judging God's goodness based upon? And usually it's by the way his body acts.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're saying God is love, but I'm experiencing hate.
Yes.
Right? You know what I mean? Like the exact opposite of what you say God is, you're doing. You say God accepts. You say God, for God so loved the world that he gave his life, right? But then there's no sacrifice from Christians towards the world, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah, I think that's a long conversation, but I think it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yes, definitely.
So, any final thoughts?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the Church Dropout podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts on this podcast. As usual, drop a comment below. Keep the conversation moving forward. Like, rate, and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast at. And we out.
All right. Good night.
Peace.